Hello and welcome, Lockdown Defenders. This is Coach Mike, and today we are breaking down defensive footwork. In many videos, we highlight the footwork of a specific player, but today we are going to break down 3 important footwork patterns of great defenders, because at its core, defense is a movement skill. And while we're at it, we will expose some of the biggest myths in basketball defense.
Man, oh man, what a defensive tremendous defense. Wow.
We're going to start with one of the most common myths said by defensive coaches: never cross your feet. A belief that is decades old and is held by those that believe crossing your feet will get your ankles broken. However, if you look at every great defender we've broken down, you'll see that each of them utilized the crossover step. But how can both things be true? Used by poor defenders who get their ankles broken and elite lockdown defenders? Well, if we dive into these clips, you'll actually see that these two footwork patterns are very different. To the untrained eye, they both look like defenders crossing their feet, but at lockdown defense, we see them completely differently. This one is a turn and run, while the other is a crossover slide, and there's a big difference. The turn and run has the defender not only flip their hips, but also their upper body, so that they are running parallel to the offensive player. This is good in full court recovery situations, but in the half court, it means they've committed to one direction and are susceptible to any counter moves. This is why the phrase "never cross your feet" is probably so strongly held by most coaches. But the crossover slide is different. It disassociates the lower body from the upper body. You can see the defender crossing their feet and their hips are flipped, but their upper body remains square to the offensive attacker. This means they are perpendicular with their chest in legal guarding position and able to take away any counter moves with their chest and pressure. The square chest also means that as soon as they finish the crossover slide, they will be again square and in position to move laterally in either direction. And you may be asking, why use the crossover slide at all, as opposed to a classic slide? Well, if we look at the distance you cover when you do a regular slide, compared to a crossover slide, you'll see the distance is almost double, if not triple, which is crucial for defending explosive offensive players and cutting off their angles and staying in front. From over 10 years of breaking down elite defenders, the crossover slide is one of the most common techniques used in these defensive movements. And there are many ways to train and master this technique. Although we won't be breaking down drills and workouts in this video, if you want to take your defense to the next level, you'll want to join the Lockdown Academy, our first player-focused online training platform with over 100 breakdown videos, specific drills, workout programs, and so much more. Over 300 minutes of content and more being added each month. Check out the link in the description below to join the Lockdown Academy and begin your journey to becoming a lockdown defender. Now, let's get back to the breakdown. The next defensive myth we're going to tackle is the phrase "never bring your feet together." Many coaches also believe that this phrase leads to ankle breakers, but more specifically, some argue it promotes a negative first step, aka a movement that doesn't cover any ground. For example, if the defender moves their right foot first, bringing it together with the left, they will have covered no distance at all. But to say "never bring your feet together" is a far stretch from eliminating a negative first step. Both things can be true. In fact, again, many elite defenders will bring their feet together in what I call a two-touch slide, utilizing quick foot replacement speed, bringing the feet together for a fraction of time to produce the greatest lateral force. Go ahead and try it yourself. You'll be able to cover more ground when your feet are together as opposed to separated in a classic stance. This is because all your force and momentum is centered over that driving leg. But I want to stress that this is used seldom by great defenders, not every time, nor is it done frequently. The classic slide still reigns supreme for its ability to contain counters and take contact. but this is an important tool to cover more ground for an elite defender. Similar to an offensive player having a bag of tricks like a step back, a fadeaway, or an advanced finishing move, defenders need all the tools at their disposal when guarding these elite players. Which brings us to our last defensive footwork pattern in this video, the contact slide. Contrary to popular belief, defense is rarely about lateral movements and is predominantly about angles and moving laterally and backwards or forwards, giving or taking away space. The cushion slide gives space to the offensive player, moving back and laterally to contain that attack. But the contact slide flips that on its head. Instead of giving ground, the defender looks to take ground, beating the offensive player to the spot and not shying away from contact, taking it in the chest to stand up the offensive player and stop dribble penetration. One technique that best embodies the contact slide is the way these defenders protect their top foot. Instead of opening their hips to attacks towards their top foot, they slide into the attack, neutralizing one of the greatest weaknesses of defenders, their top foot. Instead, doing whatever it takes to stay square and catch the offensive player's attack with their chest in legal guarding position. These are just some of the important defensive movement patterns of elite defenders. And if you're interested in learning more, make sure to subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter, and check out the Lockdown Academy to start your own lockdown journey. As always, I'm Coach Mike with Lockdown Defense. Keep up the hard work.